Guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today I'm covering Gallery Girls, episode 4. I'm not sorry. It's such a fun show. I'm really enjoying recapping it and talking about it, and I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. So let's get into this crazy episode and talk about what they're up to. Hey guys, I just want to take a second and say if you're enjoying this show, please check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Real Housewives Recaps, or check the comments below and I'll put a link. And for $1 a week, you can support my show and get 4 bonus episodes per month. I'm covering Scary Island, like the greatest season of Real Housewives of New York. So check it out. Thanks so much. So we start out at Kerri's apartment. She's going to have a housewarming party because she's super excited. She bought her dream apartment in West Village, and her mom's come over to help her clean up and get ready for it. She wants to have her friends over and show off her apartment. So she's just getting ready for that. Then we go over to Maggie's apartment in Murray Hill. Chris, her friend, is over, and he always pops a bottle for her birthday. So I guess they're all about champagne. So she's nervous because her boyfriend Ryan, his friends, she says, are Jersey Shore. They like to fist pump. That's what she says. They're coming into town and she's ready. I mean, she's nervous because her friends are a little different. And she's like, I don't know how this birthday's going to go. He wants to take her bowling. She's not sure about that. We see Angela taking pics for her photo show. Her neighbor / best friend Alex has found the perfect venue in West Village for the show, and she's been telling everybody about it, and the only thing that's missing are the actual photos themselves. Then Kerri calls Maggie to tell her, hey, we're having a couple people over to my apartment and wanted to see if Maggie wanted to come. Maggie says, yeah, I have plans with my friend Liz. Do you mind if I bring her along? And Kerri's like, no, bring her, the more the merrier. So that's cool. See Angela taking more pictures. She's talking about how her parents are traditional and conventional and they're doctors and they think she should be too. Then Alex calls and says, I have to tell you now so we can solve this and move on. And Angela's like, what's up? And that place that he found, that perfect place, yeah, they can't do it. And Alex brings up, we have no budget, so they won't do it. And Angela is shocked by this. So this is where I get a little irritated with Angela this episode, because she's shocked. She has no budget. She's asking her friend for favors, and she's shocked that nobody's willing to work with her. We're kind of bouncing around this episode. So we're back at Maggie's apartment. Ryan's over for her birthday. We find out he's a financial analyst. On their first date, he took her to a bar for a block from his apartment, but she said they had instant chemistry. We see him take her out to dinner, and she keeps talking about she likes a guy that takes charge, that will order the wine or food or whatever, and he's just not that guy. He's not into it. He's dying to get her to go skydiving, and she's just not into it at all. I don't understand them together. She says, I love Ryan with all my heart. I don't plan so far in the future. I don't want to be married or have kids by a certain age. I just want to go with the flow. So I guess maybe that's what they see in each other. So then we go over to Chantal. Now Chantal explains that she, on the side, especially last year, she was doing a lot of modeling. So she says they're not making any money at all with End of Century. So she lined up a photo shoot with this Japanese magazine called Fudge to make some extra cash. Well, it's really funny because she's explaining, I've been in a lot of Japanese fashion magazines. They can pay anywhere from $50 to $5,000. Japanese teenage girls really like me. She says it's funny because I'm more in demand in Japan than I am here. I guess it's my style. She then says she's small and she looks like an anime character. She said she thinks that's why Spencer loves her, because he, quote, loves Asian women. And then she tells a story about finding 4 Asian porn DVDs. So then we go over to Liz, and I have a lot to say about Liz this episode. She was really not on my radar until now. I really didn't care either way about her. I mean, I find her very strange, and she likes to talk about how much money her family has. I think it comes out in the next episode. She starts talking about it even more. Liz really annoyed me this episode. She went over the top. She was mean, truthfully. And while I love the sarcasm, I love, talking crap about people, she crossed into mean, I thought. Amy's kind of a train wreck, but I don't think she deserved how Liz was treating her. I thought Liz was just a bitch this episode. So Liz is getting ready. She's going to meet that Jane Holzer. We saw her last episode. Jane Holzer is Andy Warhol's muse, and she's a family friend. Of course, Liz's dad is a huge art collector, so she knows her dad. Anyway, she invited Liz and Maggie to an art event. And while they're there walking around, they run into that Sharon Hurwitz, who Kerri and Amy interned for. And it's just weird. Liz, she's just weird to Amy. She won't hardly acknowledge her. She won't hardly talk to her. She says, Amy is my social albatross. A few times that we've hung out in New York, she got really wasted and acted foolish. I can't hang out with a mess like that, especially after going through rehab. Okay. If that was truly it, okay, I get it. You don't want to hang out with somebody that's messy after going through rehab, fine. But I don't think that's it. We find out later that they've known each other since they were 3 years old. And Liz just decided she hates her all of a sudden. And she's a bitch toward her and really mean. And it doesn't just stop at this episode. We're going to see it going forward. She's just really mean. There's a way to handle somebody in real life that if you don't want to be around them, we all know this, but not the way Liz is handling things. And Amy, again, train wreck, not my favorite on the show, but I think she got her feelings hurt, and Liz went too far with it. So that evening, we're at Kerri's apartment in the West Village. She's super excited about this apartment. She found it on Craigslist. Angela shows up. She says, I'm amazed. She just moved in. She has all this furniture. It took me years to find furniture, and I found mine on the street. And then Kerri says, I'm so proud to show off my apartment. It's just something she's worked so hard for. So good for her. That's awesome. Looks like a cool apartment. It looks tall and big for New York. So everybody else starts to show up. Liz, again, she just has to say these things. Liz walks in and says, my apartment's nicer. But her apartment's huge. And then, again, we found out she got it on Craigslist. Okay, so Spencer starts talking to Angela and asks her about her show, her photography show coming up. She tells him it's falling apart. She and Alex are kind of on the rocks. I've decided to take my mind off of it, cut loose. I'm in one of my moods. So then Angela brings out these cards. They're erotic truth or dare questions. And she gets them talking. And Claudia, who is Chantal's business partner, admits that she's always kind of wanted to sleep with Spencer. And they all kind of laugh it off. And Spencer says he's flattered and he's into it. He'd be down. Chantal says, I'm confused. I don't know if it's a game. Well, then Spencer says, Chantal and I had an argument. Chantal is suspicious that I'm into you, Angela. And Angela says, are you? And Spencer says, well, I do have to say I have an Asian fetish. Oh my gosh. To say it like that, I can't imagine. That's crazy. We see Liz and Maggie drinking on the couch by themselves. They're talking about all the guys there. Maggie says the hotness of the guys here is like a 2. And Liz says the hotness of the guys here is like -47. She doesn't mind drinking. She doesn't mind drinking with Maggie, who loves to drink wine and talks about it quite a bit, but she won't drink with Amy. Okay. So Liz asks, where's Amy? Is she coming? And Kerri says, I'm not sure. And Maggie says, well, we've both had bad experiences with Amy. I met her at dinner for Eli's gallery, and she was wasted. Liz says she kisses your ass and tells you how pretty you are. Amy walks in, and of course she's saying, oh, you're so beautiful. Kerri to camera says, Liz and Maggie talk so much shit about Amy. It makes me uncomfortable. I'm not going to sit here and talk about her. I don't want any drama at my party. Then we see Amy making small talk, and Liz is avoiding her, so Amy ends up leaving. She says she doesn't understand. It's like someone doesn't like her, and they won't tell her why. So we're back at Maggie's apartment. Again, she's talking about the difference between her friends and Ryan's friends, and she says her friends like fancy things like champagne, and his friends don't, and don't know how it's going to go. Maggie says our friends won't be best friends, but it'll be a fun night. They're going bowling, which she's not sure about. When Ryan and his friends get together, they turn into 12-year-olds. That's what Maggie's saying. And we see that because at the bowling alley, they're like doing shots and it's more than just being silly. Like they're wrestling with each other and stuff. That'd probably make me a little crazy too. They keep wrestling, and she's saying over and over that he should have stepped up. He should have made things nice for her birthday. It seemed like she was having a pretty good time, but she's mad about that. This birthday thing comes up a lot. I understand she's 24, 25, but my God, it's a birthday. We got to move on. How many times is she going to celebrate? We already saw her go out to dinner with Ryan. Then we go over to Angela's house in Brooklyn. Angela explains that on Sundays, she likes to have friends over and have like a potluck party. So today's theme, sorority sluts. So she has Claudia over, Chantal ends up coming over, and Alex is there, the neighbor that she's kind of in a fight with. Chantal, she ends up telling Angela that she wants to spice things up with Spencer and invites Angela over, and Angela's open to it. And I mean, whatever, they can do whatever they want. I'm surprised they did that on camera. Angela brings up to Alex the event and what are we going to do about the venue, and he says he's been reaching out to venues, but there's just no budget. And Angela says she's hopeless. She asked about doing a party at that end of century, but they're completely booked, which was kind of surprising to hear. We see Liz and Maggie taking a walk. Maggie is saying, again, talking about this birthday, she's saying their boyfriend didn't make her birthday special at all. Liz to camera says, Maggie needs to grow a spine. Even though I come from a wealthy family, again, talking about the wealthy family, I know how to stick up for myself. And Maggie complains about Ryan all the time. I don't know why she puts up with him. This coming from the girl who talks about her dad all the time and the issues she's having there. So I don't know that you should call her out on that. Then we go over to End of Century. They're showing off some of that abstract work that they just got. Laura tells Chantal that she looks like a vampire in a good way. Eli Klein shows up. Angela shows up. Angela shows up in the funniest outfit, and she calls herself a gothosaur. She then tells us in an interview that she spends a lot of time and money on clothes. But then she says, I shoplift from Barney's. I can't believe she'd say that on TV. We see Angela taking pictures for the event, and then Angela starts arguing with Alex about the venue. Alex says, you worry about the art, and I will figure out the venue. He's been nothing but nice to her, and he's doing this for free as a favor. And Angela is just kind of mean and saying, everything is unorganized right now. Alex says, I'm doing this as a friend. If you want to hire someone, go ahead. Claudia keeps telling her, be chill, and that she's being rude, and she is. So then we go over to Amy's apartment. We know she's up to something. She says, of all the girls in the art world, I've known Liz the longest. I don't understand what's happening. So she's decided she's going to go over to the Eli Klein gallery and try to talk to her because that's what friends do. And I'm going to bring cupcakes. So we go over to the gallery, and this is where Maggie comes in, and Liz goes and follows her and tells her, hey, guess what? Amy just called. She asked Eli what kind of cupcakes he likes. She's bringing cupcakes. And Maggie's like, no way. She's like, I don't want to talk to her. She's just kind of being rude. Liz says, I just know this bitch is going to walk in any second with a big box of cupcakes. And, of course, Amy walks in, and Amy talks to them. At least Eli and Maggie are nice to her. They're trying to be nice, and Liz isn't even making eye contact or speaking to her. And Amy says, hey, Liz, can we talk? Do you get a coffee break? Can you come talk to me? I'd really appreciate it. And Eli ends up giving her a break. Amy says she'll be around the corner. Liz says, I'd rather be on a computer all day doing stupid work than going to this meeting. She said, but I agree because the poor girl deserves her crying chance. Again, Liz is so full of herself. She thinks her time is so much more valuable. She's just a bitch. So she says, I can't even eat them because I can't have gluten. Amy thinks that I want to be her best friend or that there's a friendship between us, but she doesn't even know that I can't have gluten. You're going to bring me cupcakes? What a good friend. What a bitch. I was just to be nice. Just don't eat the cupcake then. What the hell? So Amy's sitting at the table when Liz arrives. Amy says, listen, I wanted to see how you were doing. I noticed a distance. I'm curious and I really do care about you. So Liz is still being a bitch, ignores what Amy is saying, and turns to the waiter and just starts ordering stuff. Instead of saying, hey, can we have a minute? So again, Amy tries and she says, hey, thanks for coming. I want to figure out if you're upset with me and what's going on. Liz says, well, I was upset with you at Eli's dinner. You were wasted and embarrassing. Amy says, I don't remember. And Liz says, because you were wasted. Amy says, well, I feel bad about that. And Liz says, do you think you have a drinking problem? Amy says, no. Liz says, well, I come from a past where I went to rehab to deal with addiction. It's touchy to be around someone drinking so uncontrollably. Amy says, well, I didn't realize I was putting you in an uncomfortable position. Again, all Liz has to do is maybe pull her aside and explain it. She doesn't have to be this big of a bitch to her. Liz says, it doesn't make me uncomfortable. You can drink whatever you want. I just don't want to hang out with you if you're going to get wasted. Amy says, I don't get wasted. Liz says, okay, you're not getting it. I'm going to be honest. You're uncomfortable in your own skin. You like to kiss people's asses and you're fake to people. Whoa, unnecessarily cruel. Amy says, that's not who I am. And I'm this fun little blonde girl. She always loves to talk about her hair. I'm this fun little blonde girl who cares way too much and just likes to have a good time. And Amy to camera says, I don't understand being mean to someone just for being mean. And I agree with Amy. Liz says, I appreciate your apology. Maybe you should see a therapist or something. Liz to camera says, I was dreading the talk, but maybe it's stuff that she needs to hear. And that's how the episode ends. Again, I'm all for, Amy's a train wreck. She's hard to watch sometimes, but I'm not friends with her, so I can talk about her. But Liz is just being unnecessarily cruel, and it doesn't make sense. We see a flash to next episode. We see that Angela's venue is coming through, and she's super excited for her photo show. She's super worried about the photo show, so she's prepping for it. We see that Amy wrote out some tasks that were not from Sharon for Kerri to do, so that's going to become an issue. Maggie tries to get a job somewhere else because she's over the whole Eli thing. And then we see, oh my gosh, the iconic Claudia goes to meet this artist. Do you guys remember this? Sucklord. Yep, that's his name, Sucklord. He's a total douchebag. And I can't wait to talk about it. So that'll be on next episode. Sucklord. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, such a good episode. I love talking about this stuff. They are so messy and so much fun. And I wish I had made another season of it. But can't wait to keep talking about it. I figure at the end, I'll kind of do a deep dive and see if I can figure out what they're up to now and what's going on in their lives. So stay tuned for that. But let's keep going with this show. I love it. It's so much fun. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Leave me a comment below. I read all the comments. I love them. You can find me on Twitter at Real Recaps. And thanks again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.